Hi, y'all. It's T here in the pre show with a quick announcement. We know that we're in the middle of March Masksness and that everyone is inundated with Masks actual plays. So we thought we'd give you a suggestion of a D&D actual play that you should listen to. Masks and Martyrs is a D&D 5e actual play podcast with a heavy focus on role-play and character relationships. They feature a majority queer cast with a diverse cast of characters in a living, breathing homebrew world lovingly crafted by their DM. Join them for tales of high adventure, lifelong friends, intrigue, duels, true love, and more. There'll be laughter, crying, they punch a dragon in the first arc. They've just wrapped up their first season, so now is the perfect time to binge what at least two people are calling the Princess Bride of actual play podcasts. P.S. They have sad elf boys. So go check out Masks and Martyrs wherever you listen to podcasts. And now enjoy our episode. Welcome back to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is Cataclysm Crew, issue 16. We're off to see the Time Wizard. On the cover, our heroes skip down a painted yellow sidewalk in Moon Harbor in their hero costumes. The Rascal King, paper crown shining in the sun, stands in for the Cowardly Lion, next to Blue Samurai, carrying his sword like the Tin Man's axe. Machina stands at center, holding Squire in her arms as Toto. On the far end, Flyby leaps dramatically as the Scarecrow. A rainbow arches through the sky above them. We turn the page and our story begins. This issue begins almost immediately after the previous one ended. We just saw in the Skull's eyes the past flashing and the bunch of scenes, and then we saw Alan in the past. I assume we're probably taking this off of either Machina or Rascal King. Where do you all think you go to debrief after this moment?
Like on our own?
Yeah, I think you probably respectfully said goodbye to the professor, and then we're like, we have to go talk about this somewhere.
I've got my hideout.
Yeah, why don't you talk about your hideout?
I'm down for that since we're slowly running out of places to hang out.
That's true. Yeah, so Max, tell us about your hideout.
It looks pretty identical to my parents' penthouse, and it's one floor down from my parents' penthouse. They rented it.
Yeah, we get a small flashback scene of your parents having what looks like the sex talk with you. It's like, we support you and we love you and we want you to be happy, like the queer coming out sex talk. And then you're like, if you have to be a superhero, that's what you have to do. And it's very sweet and supportive. And they're like, well, Saber people have been knocking on our door trying to find you. So we got you this. And they gave you a key. And it's to one floor below them. And they're like, if anyone asks, we don't know where you are. Okay, bye. And then we jump back to the present, and we're all in your penthouse. What are y'all doing? First Wall is there.
I would imagine everybody but Lucy, because as far as we're aware, Lucy is just a one-time thing.
I would agree with that.
Well, also, we don't know that Lucy is Flyby.
Also, a good point.
All right, so we have Max, Amber, and Al. What are you all doing?
I think we get a panel that's got Amber talking, and it's one of those panels where it's just a wall of text that starts out in a larger font, slowly gets smaller, and she's just going on and on about what does this mean? Where do we find him? It's just a wall of text.
Max is in the background of this, kind of freaking out a bit, but not quite sure what to do at this point.
Al just is sitting in a corner with his arms crossed.
All right, so Amber, you've had a chance to kind of freak out a little bit, and I think we see a 5 minutes later panel, and the wall of text is coming to an end. And I think the three of you sit in silence for a panel or two.
I think we get a panel where Amber's like, okay, so how do we get him back? And then another panel of silence.
I would like there to just be a panel of Al mumbling, what if we don't get him back? Not loud enough to be heard, but just a quiet, not being noticed, but sass, you know?
Do we know anyone that has time travel powers? Maybe your dad's files?
Yeah, I can't think of any heroes, so might as well check.
Cool. Where do you have your dad's files? Do you have them on your on a flash drive, on a laptop? Where are they?
On my phone.
On your phone. Okay, cool. Is it searchable? Can you type in a database time travel, or
Oh yeah,
search
search, like, okay, cool. So you don't, like, search piece by piece.
Yeah, like since we had such a large time jump between Blockade and the last issue, she was able to do a whole bunch of formatting, and so it looks nice and clean.
Cool. So as you search for, like, time travel, a name comes up. There's not a lot of time traveling heroes or villains in Moon Harbor, but there is one retired villain named the Timekeeper. He is older. He's, like, probably in his mid-70s now. And he lives in a retirement community in the area of Moon Harbor called the Cove, which is like what was like historic, like the historic like fishing district, but has now kind of been renovated to be a hipstery kind of artistic area.
Cool. Is there an address?
You know what retirement community he's in? You don't know his exact address, but you can like get to the place at least.
Okay. Does it say his real name at all so we can ask?
His real name is Herman Ursa.
Okay. I got an address.
Max, like, walking back into the room, putting on his mask. Let's go.
All right, we're going to cut away from this scene now, and we're going to jump over to Lucy. Lucy, it's later that same night. You were just superheroing for your first time ever, and you walk into you have a dorm or you have an apartment?
It's probably I think it's an apartment.
Cool. You walk into your apartment, and as you open the door, it hits into something, and you pull the door closed as you like slide through, and there's a vacuum with a sticky note right in front of the door, blocking the doorway that says your turn.
Yeah, pick up the sticky note. It's from Veronica, isn't it?
Oh, it very much is, yeah.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna drag the vacuum cleaner out of like the fire exit, throw my backpack in my room and like vacuum, like being like, whatever, you know what? I don't have the energy to fight with her today. I'm just gonna do it.
As you finish up vacuuming, she's standing in the doorframe of her room, and she's very put together most of the time. So to see her in the state that she's currently in is a bit surprising. She has makeup on, but it has since been like cried mostly down her face, and her hair is a mess. And she looks out the door and she's like, we do have a chores chart for a reason. And then she points at it, and there's a chores chart on the wall where there's just like a big open section of like the chores you haven't done recently. And she's like, I get that you're busy with your all like important internship and stuff, but it's just really hard living in this house sometimes. And then she like walks in and closes the door.
I'm gonna go knock on her door and be like, hey, Veronica, is everything okay? Because like the chores, like I get I don't do my chores, but like it's never been like this before.
She opens the door and just kind of like flings herself into your arms, and she's just sobbing, and she's like, Jared broke up with me, and she's just weeping into your arms. Jared, as you know, is her on again, off again, on again, off again, mostly off again.
I figured as much. Yeah. Okay. This is gonna be like I'm gonna pet her hair and be like, there. I believe in you to get through this. We can do this together, etc.
She pulls back and she's like, "Can we have a movie night?"
Like the Grinch, her heart grows 3 sizes that day, and she's like, yeah, okay. Should I go out and get some ice cream?
And she gives a tearful nod.
Cherry Garcia.
She smiles a little bit and then nods again.
All right, be right back. And I'm going to go back, get my backpack from my room, and leave to go down to the corner store to get some ice cream.
Excellent. So you are heading down the street towards the corner store. There's the one closest is probably closed because it's pretty late in the evening, but there's one a couple blocks away that is open. Your apartment is in an area of town called the Cove. I'm not sure if you heard me mention that earlier, but it's it's what used to be the historic fishing district is now kind of an artist haven area. Rascal, Machina, and Blue Samurai. If you are you traveling in costume or are you traveling as people?
Well, since Max got into costume, Amber got into costume.
I feel like I would have to be in costume, even though it's kind of ridiculous that we're going to an old folks' home dressed up as our superheroes, but whatever.
How are you traveling to get there?
Motorcycle? I think still kicking around, right? Or have they taken that back yet?
Nope, it's still kicking around.
Yes.
Okay, so we get a panel of are all 3 of you in this motorcycle? How is this working?
It has a sidecar.
Machina's behind Rascal King. She's not going in the sidecar.
So Al's in the sidecar?
Yes.
Could we just have a panel of like Al just very unhappy folding his arms?
Well, you can't fold your arms. You have to hold Squire.
Squire's in the folded arms.
Excellent.
I love that. And so, Lucy, you're walking to the corner store, and then a motorcycle pulls up next to you and stops at a red light. Because Max has actually learned some traffic rules and does actually stop at red lights now. And
I'm a wanted man. Can't draw attention
exactly.
while
You
on
look-
my saber cycle.
And you see first Machina and Rascal King and Blue Samurai all in costume, and then Squire also in costume. Squire looks at you and like cocks her head, and then Squire waves, and you are standing on the curb next to these heroes.
I'm gonna wave back at Squire. Duh.
Does anyone else notice the that Lucy is standing next to you?
Squire's in my arms, so I feel like I would have to notice the waving raccoon.
Is the idea that they're waiting at a traffic light and I'm like waiting for the crosswalk signal?
Yep, exactly.
Amber probably is not looking in her direction. She's very one-track minded right now.
But Al, you do notice her, correct?
Correct.
So this is the intern from the college who you saw earlier today, who you also then saw like just like 20, 30 minutes ago. And now you're all running into each other again.
I'm gonna look at her a little curiously, like, why are you here again? But I don't think I would pay too much mind to it. Maybe I'll wave.
Cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say she'll probably be like a moment of recognition of being like, oh, it's these guys. Hey, what's up? But like nothing vocal, just sort of like a nod or a small wave.
Awesome. At that moment, just as you're waving, Lucy, the light turns green. And I assume Max is the kind of person that the second the light turns green, like, speeds away.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Lucy, you then get to the corner store. They do have Cherry Garcia ice cream. And I think you make it back to your apartment, and all is relatively calm for the moment.
There is also a pint of chocolate fudge brownie for me, because I'm commiserating.
Good choice. We're going to follow our three intrepid heroes as they make their way to this retirement community. You all get there, and it is gated. And it's still pretty late at night. Like, it's like just shy of midnight, and you're at the entrance to this gated retirement community. But the gate is closed.
Can we do a classic Cataclysm cruise, stop in an alley a little bit over?
Mm-hmm. So someone describe that panel for me. Tell me what that looks like.
I just kind of want to just a visual repeat of the panel of like stopping the bike at the end of the alley before the whole Queen Bee thing.
Ooh, I love that parallel, but I also hate it.
Notably, in the exact same spot visually as Alan was, Al is standing there now.
Like I guess then I'd be leaning against the bike. Like, okay, so what's the plan? How are we getting in there?
So the gate's closed. Is there a guard there, or is it just empty?
It's empty. It's not like it's like a automated gate, so there's probably like a code you have to press in.
Yeah, that's what I was guessing. So then in character, Machina is gonna say, I mean, I could hack us in there. No problem.
Guys, am I that forgettable? And then I'm just gonna like open up like a really small portal between my two hands.
First of all, ouch. Cool. So the portal has appeared.
I could just like so they're just between my two hands like right now. There's just two really small like baseball-sized portals, and I'm just gonna say like we can just go in, you know?
That's significantly faster than my idea. I'm down.
Okay, and I'm just gonna open a portal. Is the gate like barred or is it like a solid panel?
It's barred.
Cool. So I can just open a portal right on the other side and then just gesture.
I'm rushing in.
I'm scurrying through.
And I'm slowly walking.
As you slowly walk, I think Squire like pats you on the like leg like comfortingly, and Squire gives you a look like people forget me too. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna just scratch Squire behind the ears and like cry a little on the inside.
And then two of you step through. So the three of you and Squire are now in the retirement community. It's very like small suburb inside. Like there's like a lot of like 2-bedroom houses, most 1-story buildings with like main office that also has like a gym inside, and there's a pool for like swimming laps and that kind of thing. It's a pretty nice retirement community. Where are you gonna go first?
Maybe the main office. Like we don't know where exactly he is, so maybe the records are there.
Cool. There's a sign for the main office. It's just around the corner. It's pretty close to the front gate. When you get there, it is, as one would expect, all locked up for the evening. It's got a card swipe system to get inside, sliding glass doors, that kind of thing.
So there's a window for Al to see through.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I'll just. I had a horrible thought of just like smashing the window open, but no, I'll create a portal.
Excellent. Portal inside, and you're in the office.
Amber's going straight for the front desk and trying to find anything she can with his name on it.
Cool. Are you looking for a computer to log into, or are you looking for like physical files?
I think like a brief glance around to see if there's any files, since I'd probably be faster. But if not, then she's going straight for the computer.
There's a filing cabinet.
Okay. Is there one with his name on it?
Yep, there is one with his name on it.
Hell yeah, I'm taking that down and opening it up.
Inside, the file looks a little strange. It's not like what you would expect like a rental company to have. It's got like a very detailed document of like all of his powers and all of the crimes he was wanted for in the past, and just a general list of like badness and such that he's involved in. Yeah, but it's there and it's got his address on it, so you can easily get to the house that he's staying in.
Okay, so I'm keeping a mental note of where he is. And then I think Maki is going to take another one of the files and open it up just to kind of see if this is some sort of supervillain retirement place.
Yeah, so the other file that you pull out is for Marcia Merrill. Marcia Merrill is better known as the Pink Cloud. She was a supervillain who used emotion controlling powers to control like large groups of people in like the early Gold era. She's like mid-90s now. But it's still got a list of all of her powers and the general badness that she has done.
Okay, this place sounds awesome. Okay, but I have this guy's address, so let's go.
Cool. Anyone else want anything from the scene before we jump on?
Is there anything here that I can take?
There's a bunch of like free water bottles set out, like refillable water bottles, and like recruiting people, like the like recruitment swag that like people have at like open houses for apartment complexes and stuff.
Are we near the break room?
Maybe, probably, yeah.
I want to go in the break room and take a bite out of all the food, just a single bite.
Perfect. So there's a fridge, and it's got like a very clearly passive aggressively taped shut box that's like, this is Dolores's cake, do not touch. And there's also some more food in there, but that's particularly drawn very clearly.
Okay, so the cake specifically, I want to take like 3 fingers and run it through the frosting, and then just lick them all off, lick the frosting off my fingers.
You're a monster.
Can we get Rascal King like poking his head like around the break room door, like, ow, we need you to get out.
And I just want Al to look at him like with the fridge open, like hunched over with frosting all over his face.
Great, I love that.
I imagine Squire's at Al's feet, licking up Frosty as well.
And then I want to steal all of the water bottles.
Cool. And let's jump out of this scene. Anything else you want to do in this building?
Amber nicely put the files back so that way it doesn't look like anyone was there.
Cool. We're going to jump back over to Lucy in her apartment. We'll come back to you all in a second.
The riveting content.
Oh, trust me, it's going to get exciting. You walk in to see Veronica with her arms wrapped around Jared's neck, and she's just like laughing and giggling into his arms. And then she turns, she's like, hey.
I'm gonna not be impolite, but I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, so great. It's like, oh hey, cool. I'm gonna just put this in the freezer. And then she goes to her room, locks the door, texts Calvin, save me.
Perfect. So the last you heard from Calvin's a local. Calvin's very much from Moon Harbor. Calvin was saying that he was going to be visiting his great aunt this weekend. So he immediately just texts you a location and is like, Aunt Marcia fell asleep. Come visit if you want.
I do that. Also, out of character, I just cackled.
The location pin that he sends you isn't far away. It's like probably 6 or 7 blocks. The community is gated. So he texts you and says, buzz 1420 when you get in, and I'll come open the gate for you.
I do that.
Cool. So we see you heading out towards the retirement community. We'll come back to you in just a sec. So
I have my backpack, which has my stuff in it. My super athleisure.
Excellent. We'll come back to you and Calvin in just one moment. Let's jump over to the crew. You are now in front of the house of Herman Ursa, aka the Timekeeper. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna knock on the door.
Cool.
In the panel where you're knocking on the door, I think Max is like turned to you, like, so what's the plan? As you knock.
Yep.
Oh, that's the plan. Okay.
As you knock on the door, a light turns on inside, and you hear like a loud voice muttering, but it's not muttering, it's very much just speaking. And it's like, "It's almost midnight. Who is coming to the door right now?"
Can I check a watch and be like, oh, damn, it is almost midnight. How does this guy's really a time wizard?
The door opens, and this man is standing there. This man looks far more than 60, or mid 60s, or at least 70s. This man looks like he's 110, 115. Like, he's old. And he looks up, and his eyes are just so tired, both physically and, like, he's seen some shit. And he's like, "Is there some kind of problem?"
Can you send us back in time?
Yeah, I hear you know about time travel.
He looks at you, and then he sighs and says, "All right, come inside."
I'm going inside.
I'm gonna go inside, but I want to whisper to Al as I do. This feels like a trap.
I'm just gonna shake my head in like exasperation and agree with Rascal King.
Are you also going inside?
I think I'm gonna do something clever. I'm gonna put a pin-sized portal on his doorstep, and then just like keep my fist closed so that I always have this pin-sized portal in my hand that I can make larger if need be.
Cool, I love that. And as the three of you step inside, we see a panel of him at the front door. And as he's closing it, we see this big grin spread across his face. And then the door closes. And we're going to jump over back to Lucy. Lucy, you've just arrived at the gate, and you type the code in. And pretty much immediately, Calvin is at the front gate. And he's like, "Hey, what's going on?"
Veronica and Jared, it's they're doing it again, and I just can't deal with it.
He looks at you and he says, "Break up or back together?"
Yes.
He grins and the gate opens and he's like, "Well, welcome to the Moon Harbor Center for Adults. This is my aunt lives here. She's pretty old, but she's asleep, so..."
Honestly, anything is better than having to listen to them make out on that couch. I swear to God.
He looks at you and he's like, "Well, I mean, you can come over to my aunt's place. We could just hang out and like watch TV, or make you go for a walk or something. I don't know. What do you want to do?"
Let's go for a walk. We've been cooped up in that office for too long. Our muscles are atrophying in our legs.
He looks at you and he grins and he's like, "I told you should get a standing desk."
Listen, we all don't like you and your like weird Swedish, Dutch, I don't know what they're called, like catalogs. You need to chill with the mid-century modern furniture.
I mean,
She's
yeah.
teasing him, of course.
I think he like nudges you and he's like, "I mean, yeah, but in 10 years, I'll still be able to walk because I pace at my desk, and I'll have to wheel you around in a wheelchair."
Okay, let's compromise. I'll sit on a yoga ball. Can we compromise with that?
I think he laughs and he's like, "Well, now I'm just picturing pushing you off a yoga ball."
I mean, don't they have those like chairs you can stick a yoga ball in? So it could be the best of both worlds. I could be in a rolly chair and sitting on a yoga ball at the same time.
He looks at you and he's like, "You're ingenious. That's the only solution. You're right. I think we
Thank
need to
you.
get the department."
We'll talk to Dr. Francine on Monday. I'm sure it'll be a great use of company budget.
I agree. There's a little bit of a lake over here. Do you want to just like take a walk around it?
Sounds cool to me.
And as we get you over to the lake, we see a really pretty shot of the moon, the moonlight reflecting off this lake, and like the silhouette of the two of you in like the fractured ripples on the water. And we're gonna cut back to the group inside Herman Ursa's home. He's walking pretty slow, and he's like, "Do you want some tea? Hot chocolate?"
Oh man, what a throwback to Cataclysm Crew 5. I'm good, thank you.
I'd like some hot chocolate. I mean, no, I'm good.
Al's just gonna shake his head. Al's gonna be real quiet today.
"Okay, so that's a no on hot chocolate. Okay, all right. So," and he looks at the three of you and he's like, "We have Machina, Rascal King, and Blue Samurai, correct?"
I think Al's eyes just widen.
Correct.
So you've heard of me.
Are you using that move?
I absolutely am.
All right, trigger that move.
Okay. On a hit, they've heard of you. Say which of your exploits they've heard about and which label they think applies.
He looks at you and he says, "Have you done the thing in... Well, I don't want to give spoilers away. Have you done the thing with the ice castle yet?"
I'm gonna look between Makeda and Al. Like, I don't think so. That doesn't ring any bells.
What ice castle?
He like shrugs it off and he's like, "Don't worry about it. You'll find out soon, I promise." Yeah.
What I want him to have heard of is us working with Queen Bee. And I'm not sure what label.
Oh, you tell me that. I thought
Yeah.
you meant okay.
Yeah, on a 10 plus, I tell you. On a 7 to 9, they tell me, you tell me something else they've heard. So,
Cool.
I think he's heard about us working with Queen Bee. And I'm going to go with Superior.
Cool. He's like, okay, so at this point in your timeline, if you haven't hit the ice castle yet, wait, we just had the Asterons. Okay, so you released Queen Bee's pheromones into the world, right? That's what was happening recently.
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago.
He nods and he's like, yeah, okay, I understand now. Sorry, when you jump around time as much as I do, you learn a lot of people and a lot of things, and I don't want to like cause a paradox or whatever.
Could we have a panel of Al like sheepishly raising his hand and be like, "Hey, what time is it?"
He looks at you and he's like, "It's 11:53 and 22 seconds."
And I'm just gonna like smack Max on the shoulder like that, like, "Are you seeing this shit?" kind of smack, you know?
He's a real wizard.
He looks at the three of you and he's like, "So you three want to get Tyrannus back?"
Yes.
He nods and he's like, "Yeah, that makes sense in the timeline." Okay, well, I can't exactly send you back easily, but I can do it if you need. But, and he looks at the three of you and he's like, "Wait, there should be one more of you. There should be 4 of you right now."
No, that's Tyrannus. He's stuck in the past. That's why we're here, right?
We have Squire. There's 4 of us.
I was gonna point to Squire too and be like, "Yeah."
We're all here.
Well, I feel like a jackass. Thanks.
He looks at you and he says, "No, there's another girl."
I think we get a panel of us looking at each other. Like, did we actually catch Lucy's hero name?
You did not, because I don't think she knows it yet.
I'm gonna point at Squire again and be like, "Yeah, she's a girl."
If I send you back with only the 3 of you, it'll fracture the timeline. That won't work.
As he says 3 again, I'm gonna hold up 4 fingers but not say anything.
He looks at the 3 of you and Squire, and he's like, "Find the girl, and then we can continue this conversation."
The one that broke into Vixen's with us?
That's the only one I can think of, because, like, we're a trio.
At this point, I am gonna pick up Squire and just be like, "Guys, we're not a trio."
Quartet.
He looks at all of you and he's like, "Okay, there's another human. I get that Squire's a person. I understand that Squire is a girl, but they're another person, another human."
Well, I mean, a name would help, but all right.
Oh.
He looks at all of you and he's like, "I think in the future they called her Flyby."
Well, we didn't get a name off of her last time. So, sure. Where do we find her?
Well, before we can find her, we're gonna jump back over to her. Lucy, as he says Flyby, we get a panel of you and Calvin walking on the lake. And like you're just like joking around and laughing and that kind of thing. And his phone lights up. And he looks down and he's like, "Damn it, my aunt woke up and she's wondering where I went. Do you wanna come to her house with me really fast?"
Sure, why not? Then we can. Are you staying with her tonight, or are you walking back to your place by campus?
I mean, I was gonna stay here. If you need someone big and strong to walk you back to make
Okay.
He grins and he's like, "Come on." And he like grabs your hand and pulls you along as he like starts like hurrying around the rest of the lake. But Lucy, as you're getting pulled along the lake, you notice that the water isn't rippling the same way it was anymore. The waves are significantly bigger than they had been in the past, like when you were walking earlier. And as you get probably close to where like you guys started the walk around the path, there's this like enormous splash in the center of the lake. And then what looks like a figure made entirely out of water, but like a giant made entirely out of water, rises up from the center of the lake.
Well, shit.
What do you do?
Has Calvin noticed this happening?
Yeah, Calvin like jumped back and he's like, "What is that?"
If I still have a grip on his hand, I'm just gonna keep running in the direction towards the house because I want to get him out of here. I don't want him to be a victim to whatever is gonna happen.
Cool. As you're running, we get a full-page panel of you two in the foreground running down the path, and in the back we see a identification box, like a call-out box, identifying this as Poseidon. Poseidon was a Silver Age superhero who's still around. He's still kicking, but he is rising from the water. He is not actually a human embodiment of he's not made of water. He is a person who can control water. So he now comes and is standing on the hand of this giant water elemental looking thing, and he calls out. He says, "Villains, show yourselves. I know that you're here."
Is he talking about us? We're still running.
I think as you say that, we see a bunch of lights and a bunch of buildings turn on. Are you planning on stopping before you get back to the aunt's house, or are you going to keep rolling?
I think we're going to keep going into the house.
Excellent. So we see you running, and as you're running past building after building, people are popping their heads through windows. And we see lots of iconic heroes and villains, or specifically lots of iconic villains.
If that's happening, the historian in her is geeking out a little bit as this is happening.
There's a lot of iconic villains. Most of them don't get call-out boxes, but a few of them do. So you got the Gilded Wave, who's another water-themed villain. You got Sundress, who was a controlled sun powers. And then a couple other villains like that. And then you arrive inside his aunt's house. And we get a big call-out box as Marsha steps around the corner. And you see call-out box for Marsha Merrill, a.k.a. the Pink Cloud. And you immediately recognize her. She was one of the, prime Golden Age villains. And she's like, "What's going on? I heard yelling."
I'm gonna once I was fully intended to be play nice with this woman, but now that I see who she is, it's sort of a keep my mouth, a smile and nod, boys, smile and wave, just sort of keep my mouth shut. Just be "Hello, how are you? Okay," and then get out of there as soon as I possibly can.
Cool. She looks at you too, and she's like, "Calvin, who's your friend?" "Aunt Marsha, this is Lucy. She's a friend from school." And Marsha nods and offers you her hand.
I'm going to shake it, and then as I'm shaking it, I'm well, it's getting kind of late, and it seems like things might be getting kind of rowdy out there, so I'm probably just gonna go. Calvin, I'll see you at school.
Before we have you run out of there, as you're saying that, it kind of trails off at the end, as you start feeling this, wave of overwhelming calm just come over you. And then she puts her hand on Calvin's shoulder and she's like, "Calvin, I think that your new friend would like some cookies, don't you?" And Calvin almost monotonously is like, "Yeah, Aunt Marsha, that's a great idea." And then she's like, "Why don't you take her into the kitchen and get her some cookies?" And then she brings Calvin's hand towards yours, and the two of you join hands. And then Calvin's gonna start walking you towards the kitchen. Are you gonna follow?
I think because I have my supernatural senses, I can probably feel what she's doing. And I'm going to try to be "That's very sweet of you, but I should probably get home to my roommate who's going through it right now."
She looks at you and she says, "No, dear. I really think you should try to stay. We don't want you getting hurt, of course, with everything that's happening out there."
I think at a certain point, I'm going to be we have a moment where both of us make eye contact. And I'll be "Okay." And just sort of staying, seeing where this is going, realizing that I should maybe not leave Calvin with the supervillain.
And I think we see that moment of eye contact. And then she just smiles this big smile and she's like, "Enjoy the cookies. I just made them. They're peanut butter." And then she's going to go towards the front door. And as she's going towards the front door, the bathrobe she's been wearing around her clothes fall off. And underneath, she's wearing her supervillain uniform, which was this over the top pink gown. It doesn't fit her super well. She's pretty old, and it's a uniform from the 60s, but it's still wearable. And we're gonna jump over to the team. Team, you hear this "Come out and face me, villains" cry from outside, and Herman looks at his watch and he's like, No, that won't do. It's not time for that yet.
"Wizard, you better spill your secrets. What's going on?"
Are you provoking, or are you trying to pierce his mask?
I like to pierce his mask.
All right, roll to pierce his mask.
5.
He grins and he's like, No, you don't know that answer yet. You'll learn in time, I promise. And then he goes into the kitchen and pulls out 3 mugs of hot chocolate that are steaming hot. And he's like, I got that hot chocolate you asked for. Here you go.
I'll take it. She'll take a sip.
Excellent. Anyone else taking a sip? Anyone else drinking? Or you all just looking?
Well, I mean, if Amber's cool with it, Max obviously is.
I'm gonna go to reach forward with my right hand that has the portal in it, and then bump the cup, and then grab the cup with the left hand.
Awesome. So are you like pouring it through the portal, or are you just like, did you accidentally forget that you had a portal in your hand?
No, but you just gave me the best idea. I'm gonna like scratch my nose and put the portal in my mouth, and then pour the drink through the portal.
Okay, so Amber and Max, you two are sitting there and he's talking at you. And we see that this panel from your perspective as Herman is chatting with you. The edges of the panels are getting darker, and it's like one panel's got a little bit of darkness on the edge, and then by the third panel it's just like his smiling face. And then we get a panel pulled back of the two of you just laying on the ground. And then he turns and he looks at Al and he says, No, that's not what was supposed to happen. That you were supposed to... Damn kids, messing up the timeline. And then he's gonna launch at you. Al, what do you do?
I'm gonna... Oh, shit. Okay, I got this. I'm gonna expand the portal so I fall through it onto his front doorstep, and then I'm gonna cut his door open and, like, get all into, like, a samurai pose. Like a defensive position, and just look at the shock on his face.
He looks at you as you, like, cut through the open door, and he says, Well, I'm a little old for this kind of fight, but all right, if it's a fight you want, it's a fight you get. And he likewise like takes off his bathrobe, and underneath is in his superhero or supervillain attire. Okay. He is currently like racing towards you. Al, what do you do?
First thing I want to do is I want to grab a two throwing stars and throw them next to Rascal King and Machina so that they fall through the portals behind me.
Cool, go ahead and roll to defend for me. So that's an 8 on a 7 to 9. It costs you. You can either expose yourself to danger or escalate the situation. You also get to choose one from the list there. The list is add a team to the pool, take influence over someone you protect, or clear a condition.
I would like to add a team to the pool, and I think exposing myself to danger sounds like the most fun.
Cool. So we're at 2 team now. So you slash open the portal or the portals, and they fall through and just kind of like crash behind you. Not quite like crashing enough to wake them up, but they do like fall and land behind you. Just as the timekeeper hits you in the chest, like shoulder checks you, and you go falling backwards down the porch steps, tripping over your friends, kind of like that like prank in like schools where someone like kneels behind you and then you go falling back over them. He does that to you, only down the steps, and you go and like land on your back, and then all of a sudden he's like knees on your chest in front of you, and he puts his hand on your face, and he's like, this is so much easier when we do it with all of you at the same time, but all right. And then he starts to drain energy from you, and as you watch, he starts to de-age. Go ahead and roll to take a powerful blow for me.
This is not nice, I would just like to say. Oh, I'm dead.
All right, so on a 10 plus, you can choose one.
On a 10 plus, oh god, I can't knock myself out. If I knock myself out, it's going just bad.
You can remove yourself from the situation, flee past, etc., lose control of yourself or your powers in a terrible way, or 2 options from the 7 to 9 list, which include lashing out verbally, which you can't do because all of your teammates... you could make Squire do something foolhardy.
I don't want to do anything to Squire. I love Squire.
Give ground, and your opposition gets an opportunity, or you can struggle past the pain and mark 2 conditions.
I want to lose control of my powers in the worst way.
Great. Do you have an idea for what that's going to look like, or do you want me to narrative control?
I want you to do it, because I tend to think really brutally, and so I want you to do it.
So I think he like puts his hand on your face, and you still have your sword in your hand, so you like slash up to like slash at him, and you rip open a portal. And this is not something you've seen before, but between his fingers, you can see that like that portal didn't open up to anywhere you can see. In fact, that portal didn't open up to anywhere like you've ever seen similar. It opened up to a world that's like the sky behind you or behind it is like purple and it's raining like silver and it looks like a different dimension. And then as you like shove him back, he's still holding on to you enough that you two both go falling through this portal.
Oh shit.
The portal has not closed, it is still open behind you, but you land and this world is terrifying. It's like everything is smoky and the air is thick and heavy, and the silver like rain droplets that are hitting the ground are like sizzling as they hit the ground, and the two of you are just like flailing in this world.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets and TP Huth, and edited by Anthony Sheets. Anthony can be found on Twitter at IcyNewYear or at IcyNewYear.com. T is the host of Incubator on Air, a new play podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. She can be found at T Huth Playwright on Twitter or TPHuth94 on Instagram. Cataclysm Crew is GM'd by TP Huth. Flyby is played by Jane Barry. You can find her at Jane-Tarzan on Twitter. Rascal King is played by me, Anthony Sheets. Machina is played by Elliot Peterson. She can be found at Elliot Yulin on Instagram. Blue Samurai is played by William Hendry. You can find him on Twitter at RockoutWill321 or on Steam as Cypress_Gronum. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. The music of this issue is Mistake the Getaway by Kevin MacLeod. A link to his website and the license will be in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please leave us a review on iTunes and tell a friend. Word of mouth and 5-star reviews are really the best way for us to keep bringing these stories to more people. If you'd like to support us financially, check us out on patreon.com/moonharborheroes. Supporting us there will give you access to bonus episodes each month. And thanks for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.